I didn't know you were going to take pictures.
Oh, it's just a video, yeah.
Well, it would just be like little still shots, and what worked really good is with, he puts a camera on and then you tell us what that picture is. You say,
Yeah.
That's me, that was taken during basic training or something
Yeah.
like that.
Mementos and stuff like
That
that.
really works good into the thing. Works better than just taking a bunch of pictures and
Yeah.
making a little slideshow out of the pictures. Having us, you tell us what the picture means.
I see.
Okay.
Well, yeah, I can. I'm not very good at speaking right now, but
No, it's not, it's no big deal.
how old do you think I am?
Joe, Dick, I heard that you're 95.
I figured you'd be 95, yeah.
96. I'll be
96.
97 in May.
You're looking good for 96, Dick,
Thank you.
if I may say.
I lost my hair.
My name is Paul Julian, and I'm here with my colleague Joe Davey. We're part of the Veterans Memorial Center, and we're involved in the Library of Congress Veterans History Project. We're doing an interview here with Dick Schneider, and it's today's February 22nd, 2020, and we're at Dick Schneider's daughter's house in Indian Harbor Beach, Florida. Let's just start with Dick. Where were you born?
I was born in Flat Rock, Michigan, on a farm.
On the farm.
And I can't recall everything because we moved out of there to a small town called Ypsilanti.
Ypsilanti? I've heard of that.
Hard to spell.
I've heard that.
You been?
I've heard of it, and it's because of the spelling. It's really
It's spelled with a Y and YPSI.
Yeah.
And actually, that name is refers to Prussian or Polish general
Oh, really?
that was at that time. They was camped there or something
that's
like
neat.
that, and
That's
they named it Ypsilanti.
It's neat.
That's what I heard.
Dick, you said that you're born on a farm. Does it go without asking then that both parents were farmers?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you have any brothers and sisters?
Yeah, I had. We were a family of 5 kids.
5 kids?
I had 3 brothers and 2 sisters.
Okay. And did any of them, by any chance, Dick, did any of them go into the service?
My 2 brothers went.
The 2 brothers? And go ahead, sir.
I had a brother that went into the submarine division. Wow. I think it was Bremerton or something.
Bremerton, Washington. Yeah, been there one time.
That was his home base.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's really right now, Dick, that's the main sub-base on the West Coast is Bremerton.
It's the main
Yeah,
train.
it's the main, yes, sir. Yeah.
It's just like the Great Lakes is main in Michigan, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He's a submariner, and did he serve a good part of the World War II or all of it?
All of it.
All of it?
Yeah.
And I trust he made it out okay, right?
Yeah, he did. He actually didn't have any problems. He told me he had to go submarine 3 months or 4 months, and before he come back.
Oh yeah, they go out and patrol. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
I was amazed that he'd be underwater that long.
That was when they didn't have a lot of room. That wasn't until the modern times they didn't have a lot of room. They probably had to share their bunks with other people. Then did you have another brother that you said?
Yeah, I had a brother named Lowell, and he was in the Army, I think. Yeah, we didn't communicate or anything, but I communicated with my brother Bud. He was second born after I born.
Okay, so he was in a little less then, right?
A little less
time.
Yeah.
what were your parents' feelings about not only you being in the service, but about the other you and your other brothers? Did they have any feelings? Were they concerned?
I don't recall too much about that. I know one time on a trip, we was taking wounded soldiers, and we were to the East Coast, and then we came back, and we had to switch trains at Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
And I was very, very surprised to see my folks there, my mother and my dad. And they just popped up right at the station where I was at.
Kind of like a surprise, huh?
Very
How
much
neat.
surprised, yeah. And it was, yeah, they were quite elderly, you know. And
They weren't. Were they overly? So, Dick, were they really concerned about you and your other brothers?
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But of course, I don't know too much about what happened.
Mm-hmm.
We were quite busy.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you, Dick? Did you graduate from high school?
No,
No. And what grade did you go through?
ninth.
Ninth. Okay. And did you hold any jobs before you went to service?
Yes, I did. I had a very good job, and we were supposed to be deferred, and it didn't turn out that way because the war was going against us. Somehow or other, I found myself at Fort Custer in Michigan, and from there I went to Camp Hun in Riverside, California.
Riverside, just above San Diego, right? Yeah, just north of San Diego, I think. Riverside, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just north of Riverside, yeah. Very nice country.
I did 2 years down in San Diego on the Navy base there. So you said you were drafted, and then and it was, I thought that was interesting, Dick. You said you were drafted, but then you were in this guy. So did you leave high school before you?
I left high school before Army, maybe before I went to the bomber plant.
Okay.
I had a great job, and
It was a good job.
And very young, enjoyed the money, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's probably the reason I left school.
And you mentioned, Dick, that they said, yeah, you're covered. Don't worry about, as long as you work here. And that didn't work out that way, huh?
No.
No. Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Did you, besides your parents, Dick, did you leave behind anybody else when you went to serve?
Just my two sisters.
Your two sisters, yeah. And you went to the Army, and how did, you said that Fort Custer, did you say? Was that the boot camp?
Well, we had a point of where we were all assembled, you know, to go to our
Basic training.
Which was at Camp Hun, California. And I think that a lot of the people that I was with were mostly from the East, New Jersey, places like that.
Mm-hmm.
The reason I say that is because I had about 20 passengers on that train, and they had that Jersey type
accent.
of talk, you know.
So so then you took the train out to
Camp Hun.
Camp Hun,
Yeah.
and that was in Riverside, huh?
Near Riverside.
Near Riverside,
yeah.
okay.
Mm-hmm.
And you took a train. That's something.
Yeah.
And then that was your basic training.
I had my basic training there, yeah.
Okay. Did you go to a school after that?
I went to Cook and Baker School
Mm-hmm.
at the installation there. I can't remember where we were assigned from there, but
Mm-hmm.
seemed like we went to I went to so many different camps.
Mm-hmm.
um,
Did you, in the cooking school, Dick, was it a long school or?
I can't recall much about it.
Did you can you remember what you liked the best?
You know, I liked, well, we just had basic training, field, field cooking, you know. We had some training out in the desert, and makeshift kitchen, you know.
Really?
And,
That's interesting. Put you try to put you in a similar environment where they thought you'd go. What was the worst part?
The worst part was getting up in the morning. We had to get food ready for breakfast, you know.
And to get up early. And in my service, I had to do what they call mess cooking.
Really?
And it was on a ship, and it was I don't know. We got up at like 3:30 in the morning, and I had to do it for seemed to be like 3 months, and it was the hardest. I think it was the hardest duty I had. And then we had lunch, and then we had dinner, and then we had to clean up after dinner. And so, because you had to get up at 3:30, there wasn't afforded you much time to do anything else. And what was after your training, Dick? Where did you go from there? What was your first assignment?
I was in basic training, of course, and we had to go to Camp Pendleton, I think it was.
Know of that.
And
Know of that.
we trained on the rifle range, and that's where I got hurt there.
You got hurt. Not badly, right?
Not bad,
Yeah,
no.
but hurt. Yeah.
And so we were there for a time. And then I think they shipped me out of that unit, and I went to some other camp.
Mm-hmm.
I can't recall. But,
Okay. And so really it was
These are the camps.
okay. So you
Camp Irwin, I think we spent quite a lot of time at Camp Irwin.
okay. Was that also in California?
Oh, that was out in the desert.
In the desert, yeah. And again, it was somehow they were prepping you to fight it, to be involved in that environment, right?
Yeah, in the wrong environment, because the warship to the German front, you know, and
It's not like you were going to the Pacific; you were going to the European theater. Yeah,
Yeah.
it would seem.
and that's where I was. They didn't want me anymore in that unit.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it was because I was small and I only weighed 130 pounds.
Mm-hmm. About what I weighed at that age.
And so my unit went overseas, and they shipped me to Camp Irwin, I guess. It was back to Camp Irwin.
Okay.
And then I had some more desert training.
Mm-hmm.
It was interesting. Like I said, we'd get up early in the morning and we get the garbage cans full of hot water, and we have to heat that, and then we had soap water, and that was to put
For
your
sanitation.
Your mess kit in.
Mm-hmm.
You clean your mess kit. First of all, you put it in the soapy water, and then you put it in the clean water, and then you shake it, and then you're all done.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then
But
when you're out on bivouac, you didn't have the water. You just had the sand, which was purified by the sun, you know.
Yeah.
But you clean your mess kit on it. But the mess kit was very important. You never lost that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And would you say that, Dick? Would you say that would being out in the field, would that dictate a certain diet? In other words, would it dictate a certain type of menu, right?
Yeah, we were primarily on bee rations, and then sometimes another type of ration, a sea ration, which you broke it open and you had a candy bar and
Yeah.
cigarettes and
Yeah. But you would, at times, you'd be able to provide hot meals, right?
yeah, at different times. Yeah, most of the time.
Yeah. And I know that if it's like in the Navy, it was very, as far as morale,
Yeah,
it's very, very important.
yeah,
They have a hot meal, you know.
yeah. We were fortunate to have good food out there in the desert.
So they did give you good food to work with when you were making
Yeah,
it.
we sometimes were issued goat meat or something. Yeah,
Really?
goat meat. And we dig a hole and bury it.
Did you, as far as in all this training, were there any instructors that stuck up in your mind that?
No, except for the hiking. I was fortunate to have 2 or 3 canteens on my belt. You know.
Uh-huh.
And some guys just have one, you know, but that's not good. I mean, usually it was around 20 miles, and
20 miles.
some guys, it was always a truck. We had to have a truck, and they'd pick them up.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of them made the hike.
Yeah, and that's all about the training, right? It's
Yeah,
all,
that's all in the basic training. Yeah.
Did you, as far as like with being a cook, Dick, did you qualify with any kind of equipment?
I had, instead of the regular Garand rifle, I had a smaller one.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was like a 30-30 or something like
Uh-huh.
that. But
Okay.
I had light pack.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And,
Did what was the hardest part of the training? Was it getting up in the morning?
probably,
Probably not a lot of sleep.
and 20-mile hikes. And of course, in camp we were pretty much on our own, you
Mhm.
know. Yeah, we had on bivouac we didn't have it very nice, but when we were in camp on the desert, we had what we called little huts, you know. They were made of wood on this side, and then the rest of it was canvas.
Mm-hmm.
But that was a luxury, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Rather than have to be in a hole or in a tent. In a tent.
In a little tent that you carried in your unit. You carried a half of a tent. And,
Oh, did you?
yeah, and then I had a buddy. And
He did the other half.
yeah. and
Isn't
the
that
other
something?
half, yeah.
Um,
It's been such a long time. I forget
Yeah.
a lot of stuff.
No
but-
big deal. No big deal. What was the was there what you can term an easier part of that? Was there an easier part of that lifestyle to adapt to? In other words, when you went from a civilian and then you were went through basic training and then went into your specialized training to become a soldier, was there an easy part of that? You know?
There was a very easy part when I was assigned to Presidio training unit. Well, I think it was.
Is that the one in San Francisco?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, Presidio was a big installation,
Mm-hmm.
and it was right on the edge of the water. We had it very nice there. When I got my sergeant's commission, we had a barracks for the men, and then in the end of the barracks upstairs, I had a little room, and we had 2 sergeants in that unit, myself and one more.
Oh.
And all the time that I was there, I never seen my companion in the room. And
Really?
he never got back any time that I was there. You know, I was always on a trip when he was there, and he was always on a trip when I was
So-
there.
A lot of independence,
Yeah.
which is unusual,
Yeah.
right, in the service.
So we had it very nice. We had one day on duty, and 2 days off.
Well, that's nice.
So
That's nice. That's nice.
I had a job at across the bay, and we worked on ships for pretty good salary.
Let me guess. Would it be Alameda?
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah.
You know about that, huh?
Yeah. My son went to Berkeley, but also
They went to Berkeley?
he went to University of California,
I
Berkeley.
thought that was a girl's.
I hear that a lot. And but before that, our ship that I was on a repair ship, we went up to Alameda and spent a month. And so I remember that it was just across the bay. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I worked on ships there. We cleaned the staterooms.
And you say you worked on ships, Dick. You worked on probably Army ships.
Yeah.
People don't understand. Yeah, they don't. The Army has at that Port Canaveral. They have for the vehicles and stuff. They have like their own ships. The Army has their own ships.
Liberty ships.
To take the vehicles down range with when they're, at various bases that the Army is. But they have. But I've always heard that the Army has more boats than the Navy.
In Navy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I just learned that about 10 years ago.
Well, we had to take the garbage out, and they never threw the garbage in the water.
For pollution.
And we had to take the garbage out and clean the hallways.
Yeah.
And I forget what they call them. They don't call them hallways. But
Passageways.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then we had to do some painting down below decks.
You're acting like as what in the Navy calls bosun's mates.
Yeah.
You're making sure keep the boat ship shape and keep it clean and.
I know after I was there making my way around the ship, they had me down there chipping paint.
Yeah, he's a bosun's mate. Yeah, I did some chip and paint myself when I was a signalman.
Yeah.
And in the Navy, and I did a little bit of that myself.
And then I remember one day they put me on a swing on the end of a rope, and then
you were along the side. Around the side to do painting?
No, I was on the inside, and there was water down below inside
into the
boat.
bilge.
Yeah.
Into the bilge.
Yeah, there was water down there, and they let me down pretty close to that water. They said, "Okay, you chip this paint, and we'll bring you up a little, and you chip some more." That was hard work.
Yeah, it is.
But the pay was good. The pay was good, and I had money, and I bought a car, and I had a car in camp.
Yeah.
And on my days off, I had a pass to go anywhere I wanted to go, but I didn't have to sign out or nothing.
Yeah.
I had
a lot of independence.
A lot of independence while the war was going on.
Yeah.
I was very fortunate.
Now, on wartime service, did you go over were you involved in any hostilities overseas?
No, I didn't go overseas.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
I was stateside, but we were very busy.
Okay. As far as while you're stateside, did you have any friendships or camaraderie? Did you get to know any of the fellow soldiers and have relationships with them, or?
Yeah, I had a very close friend at the time. His name was Taurus, and we were close. And he had a car. I didn't have a car at that time. And when he was out on a train trip, he would let me have his car.
That's nice.
And it was a Dodge Coupe. It was just the front seat, And,
back in that time, it was when a Dodge was a Dodge, right? Not with all these other companies buying them, European companies. A Dodge was a Dodge, all American car.
Yeah, and it was a good car. And he let me use his car, and we had down the road from Camp Han, there was a installation for wax, and I got to know a couple whacks. So me in the car and a couple of whacks and a different whacks, and so I had a pretty good time.
Did you while you were in, Dick, did you stay in touch with any of the friends or
No, you mean in the back home?
right, once you come back home, did you?
No, I don't
No.
recall.
No. Okay.
I didn't write many letters then, but
Okay.
yeah, it was
Not like email where you just kind of open up the computer and
I liked to. I was you know, I had a penchant for skating. I went to roller skate places all over the country.
Did you do that while you were in?
Well, I was
Did you
in
do
the
any
army.
roller
Well, I was in the army.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because I had lots of time off,
Uh-huh.
and I had a job at Alameda, and then I had a job at a sugar factory.
Sugar factory in California.
Yeah, and it was pretty good money.
Yeah.
You know, pretty good money. I had 2 days off, you know.
Yeah.
So I went to work in the sugar factory, and they started me. They had a line where we filled the bags, you know.
Uh-huh.
And I was bagging 2 pounds or 5 pounds. It wasn't so bad. Then they put it
Yeah.
on a truck and a hand cart, and then pretty soon they put me on a 5 pound, a big sack of
Yeah.
5 pounds.
A sack.
And they got to be
Heavy.
a little bit heavy. I didn't
Yeah.
like it, so I quit that job.
Yeah.
And I got a job at Union Pacific warehouse.
Warehouse for the railroad.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
At Union Pacific, Southern Pacific.
And I think that runs into Oakland, I think.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know if it ran to San
They
Francisco.
crossed on barges. They
Uh-huh.
went across on barges, yeah.
Hmm.
And we had little tractors with trailers on them, and
How neat.
we filled them up with merchandise.
Uh-huh.
They come into the warehouse, and then they back these trucks up, and we would fill the stuff on the trucks, and the trucks went to different little cities
Uh-huh.
around. And it was quite a lot of
That's neat.
fun.
That's neat. So, Rick, did you have with the job? Did you have a lot of time off duty? So you had a lot of off-duty time, and you liked to do skating. Did you like to do anything else?
No, I went skating different places.
Mhm.
We in Riverside we had a
Mhm.
good skating rink,
Mhm. Mhm.
and I met people there.
Uh-huh.
Quite a few people.
Uh-huh.
And you talk about writing to people. I met 2 or 3 girls, and they were whacks,
Uh-huh.
and they used to write to me. But,
Oh, nice.
but
Okay. Did you have any particularly humorous or unusual events? Anything that happened during your Army time that was kind of unusual or funny?
no, well, yes. I was. We were up in. I had a date with a girl, and we were out in the car, and we parked up. I can't remember the name of the road, but it went up the mountain there, and it was in a kind of a secluded area where there were some nice houses, you know.
Uh-huh.
And that's where the brass lived.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And then you could look down and you could see lights in the town there.
Was this in Presidio up in there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was very, very nice.
Yeah.
And I happened to park there under a tree, and we looked out and seen the lights. And then across the road was this house, real nice house. And it was all dark, but later I learned that it was a colonel's house. And we were looking at the lights, and you know how it is with a man and a girl, you know. And then, It's about the most exciting thing ever.
Was
I'm glad. The colonel was out of it.
Dick, what was the best part of your service experience?
Taking care of the unit, the soldiers that were. We fed them good and talked to them, took care of them.
Mm-hmm.
Once in a while, we have some of them that were in an Oregon boot. We have to watch them real closely.
Mm-hmm.
You know what an Oregon boot is? Well, it's like a boot, and it's locked with a key, and it's weighted with lead, and he couldn't walk hardly, very slow.
Uh-huh.
So if he got by, he was under control.
Oh, I see.
That was Section 8 guy.
Oh, okay. So in other words, their mental problems. Or,
Mental problem,
yeah.
but they were in with the other people.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we had them under control.
Mm-hmm. You had to be very careful with them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But most of them were pretty much on the mend.
Yeah.
But they were assigned to the hospitals that were closest to their home.
Mm-hmm.
And then we took them in the trains.
Mm-hmm.
And when we got to the East Coast, we'd get to Army base there and make up another train coming back to the West Coast.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And we were all under a command, of course. We had a captain, sometimes a captain, and sometimes just a lieutenant. But and then we had normally we had 2 nurses or maybe 3.
Mm-hmm. And would during your service, Dick, would you do anything in the medical field or?
No, not much at all.
Okay. Okay. Do you recall? So you went to through the whole war, right? You served through. Do you recall the day the service ended?
Mm-hmm.
Where were you?
I was at the Presidio, yeah, but I was supposed to get discharged, and the war was pretty much ended, except that at that time we had a surge where the German army come together and they had all their units in one unit, and it was called the Battle of the Bulge.
Oh yes, I've heard that.
And so my discharge was canceled, and I had to stay in a little bit longer. And finally the war came to an end.
And was it pretty happy times, huh?
Yeah, it was a very happy time.
Yeah.
I remember I was in San Francisco when the Japanese surrendered. I was on a train unit in the east, and we were at Staten. Our train went to Staten Island.
Oh wow.
Across on barges or on a boat, and I had the war ended, and I happened to have a pass to get to New York City. So I happened to be in Times Square.
When the news broke?
Yep.
How was it? Pretty neat. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Did you want to take a minute or? Okay. Okay. So that did it stay that way for the whole day, huh? It was.
It was at night, yeah.
It was
in
at
the
night,
evening, yeah.
in the evening?
And they were shooting off some kind of firework. I can't remember too much about it, but I know that the street was where I was at was just
Crazy, huh?
shoulder to shoulder
Crazy.
with people and all kinds of servicemen and civilians, and they were just all night long.
Yeah, yeah. Very, very exciting and probably a very great relief
Yeah.
that it was, you know.
I know I had to get on the ferry by at 1 o'clock, I think it was, or 12, something like, where I would be able.
Yeah.
But I made it back
made it
somehow
back.
or another. And,
You probably had an assigned time, right, Dick, to get back. You couldn't like take your time getting back.
you know, I had to take the last ferry.
Your last ferry. Wow.
Yeah, and I had to be there. So,
So where did they what do they call it? Where did you have to go to get out of the service? Did you?
they shipped me up to Camp Roberts.
Camp Roberts.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Camp Roberts.
Okay.
That's where I was discharged.
And Roberts is what? Where was that?
It was in California, yeah.
Oh, in California.
It was up by that was the last camp I was in,
Roberts.
Camp Roberts. Yeah.
Okay. And then was it a long process to get out?
Yeah, it was because they wanted you to sign up for another. It was, I was.
I wouldn't imagine they got many takers.
I was a sergeant with 3 stripes, and they was going to give me a promotion if I signed up.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought about it for a long time. And
No.
it was really appealing because I liked
Yeah.
the money, and but I turned it down
Yeah.
because I was supposed to get married.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least my wife kept telling me I was going to get married. I didn't think much about it, but I finally did get my discharge.
Yeah.
And I had a car then.
Did you returned home?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I drove home. It took me 3 days or 4 days.
And it was in Flat Rock?
No,
Ypsilanti?
Ypsilanti.
In Ypsilanti, okay.
Yeah.
And then how were you received when you got home?
We were married right away.
Right. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, it was nice to be home. Yeah, and somehow or other, I got married somewhere. It was a big wedding, big
Yeah.
wedding.
Big wedding.
You weren't there, were you?
No.
Did
We got married. We got married in March, and April she was born.
oh wow. Oh wow.
The following year.
The following year.
Yes, let's make
See,
sure.
they didn't qualify that. Did Dick? Was it hard to readjust to civilian life? Is it hard?
Kinda, yeah. Kinda hard,
Because
yeah.
you really had it was probably harder work, right?
Yeah, they didn't have the food that we had in the army, you know. There was still a lot of shortage, and they were
A
getting
lot of shortages.
yeah, they were getting green tickets or something like that. I don't know, to get sugar.
Like those rationing tickets.
Yeah, ration
Yeah.
tickets. Yeah, they were, and to get sugar and to get meat and butter and
Really, still after the war? I didn't know that.
yeah, it was still going for a while.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you end up going to work or go to school, or where did you go?
It was kind of hazy. I don't know what it was.
Mm-hmm.
Seemed like I was. Oh, the bomber plant where I was working. They got just. I was supposed to get
Job back.
credit for at Ford Motor Company,
Mm-hmm.
so that's where I went. But they didn't give me credit for a couple of years. I was at bomber plant. It was a Ford bomber plant. Yeah.
Didn't know that might.
Yeah, and I went to when I got out of the army, I went to the Ford plant in Ypsilanti there.
Mm-hmm. And it was the bomber plant?
No,
Oh, it was a different
A
one.
different one. It's called the. They made Ford starters
Oh,
and it changed from generators to alternators.
mhm.
And I worked there quite a long time.
So that was adjustment then, huh, Dick? It was kind of an
Yeah,
adjustment.
they didn't give me credit for my time I was working at the lumber plant.
Mhm.
But,
Mhm.
uh,
Did you end up going back to school for anything?
seemed like I had went to training.
Use the GI Bill maybe?
I don't know where I went from the board plant. Oh, Kaiser Fraser everybody was going to Kaiser Fraser.
Like a
So
school.
so I said, oh, the heck with the Ford plant. It wasn't easy. It wasn't easy work
No.
there. And I got a real good job at Kaiser Fraser.
Mhm.
I worked in the um, it's just a small part of small part of the building, and I had a truck to pick up parts.
Oh, I see.
And
That's what you did. You did the truck driving.
Yeah, there. It was a nice job.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um,
Do you think, Dick, that the service you think the service changed you? You know, like comparing to where if you didn't go to if you weren't drafted versus, you know, that you were drafted, you're actually drafted.
Yeah.
Did it really change you? Have any effect on you? How you?
Yeah. Well, like I say, I went where I got the most money, and I thought maybe the service kind of made me do that, but I kept changing jobs till I got more money, more money, more money.
Yeah, that's what most people do.
I stayed
yeah.
with Kaiser Fraser until they went out of business. They folded up. Well, they left us all. I don't know if I went back to Ford's or not.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah, I went back to Ford's, but they didn't give me all that. I should have had a lot more
Yeah, seniority. Yeah.
seniority.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did the service affect the way you relate to others? Do you think it had any effect? You know, how you deal with other people, or no?
Are you asking if I had friends or not?
Well, what I'm saying, Dick, is as far as how you approach people and how you did it make any difference? Do you think?
Well, we always had a feeling towards the civilians, you know. A lot of 4F people that got out for small things, you know.
Yeah.
But that just dissipated, you know.
Yeah. Okay.
But from then on, it was just
Making a living.
making a living.
Yeah. Yeah.
Having kids.
Yeah. It's not any easier, right? It's not. It wasn't. It didn't get any easier. Matter of fact, it probably got harder.
It got harder.
Yeah.
The work got harder.
Yeah.
Um,
Whereas you had the service took care of you. I mean, they controlled you, but they did take care of you. You didn't have that anymore. You didn't have.
No,
you had to make your
no.
own way, you know.
I had to make my own way.
Yeah, yeah.
Pay my own
Yeah,
hospital
yeah,
and all
yeah,
that stuff.
yeah, yeah.
Insurance.
Yeah.
Yeah, I my wife and I, we weren't really smart taking care of different things, but
Mm-hmm.
but she wanted to work, and she after a time, after a few years, she began to help me with. She got a job.
Mm-hmm.
And I
That was helpful.
I was never without work
Yeah.
all my life.
Yeah.
But I did get laid off and started another job. But
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't my fault. It was just because.
Just the way the how the company was doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But my wife and I built a number of houses.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember I had a good work ethic, and I
Yeah.
would work at a main job and have a part-time job, and
Mm-hmm.
my wife had a job, and when we had children,
Yeah. You were able
she'd
to
take
provide
time
for them.
off.
Yeah. Yeah. Was there any life lessons that you learned from the time you were in? Any kind of things that you were able to apply the rest of your life? Any ways of looking at things?
I
or-
think mostly that I learned from my dad a good work ethic.
Yeah.
And I was always working, and I still have it today.
Do you think, Dick, that it helped you, that having that work ethic when you were growing up, you think it helped you make it in the military? Does it help you make your way through the military, through the Army?
Yeah.
Because
it
there's
did.
a lot of people you'll meet that don't have that ethic.
Well, I was, I don't know how I got my promotions and all,
Mhm.
but I had,
You had 4 of them, right?
they made me a corporal, and
Uh-huh.
I kind of liked that as more money.
Mm-hmm.
And I was able to go into the non-coms.
Oh, okay. They're like the non-commissioned officers go there in the club.
Yeah,
Yeah.
in the club where other people couldn't do that, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
And
So you felt you achieved
that
a
was
little
kind of thrilling to be able to go to these different places.
Yeah.
And then they made me a sergeant, and I don't know how I ever got to be. I think it was. I think it was from some other. They recommended me, you know, some lieutenant, and I never did find out, but I tried.
Uh-huh.
I asked a lot of people, and I had a good lieutenant friend, and he'd been on a number of trips with me. And I suspect that he was the one.
Well, when good things happen, I don't mind. I would. I mean, I would like to know, but if it's
Yeah,
good, I'm not
yeah,
really.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah. Did you like being a sergeant?
Yeah,
The
I
money
loved
was
it.
better. And, yeah.
I
Yeah.
loved it. As
Maybe a little more responsibility. Maybe
I
you feel
had-
like you knew what you're. That you knew
yeah,
something.
and people. I told somebody to do something, they did it. You know?
Yeah. Instead of having to try to work with them and
And
coax
she-
them.
she-
And,
yeah. I said, well, that job's got to be done. You're the guy to do it. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was nice.
And this just a few more questions. Has your military service, Dick, impacted the way you feel about America going to war or the military in general? Has it had any impact as far as?
I think that they didn't give. They claimed to give good training, and I don't think they got
No.
good training. I think
So therefore, they weren't as prepared as they could have
yeah,
been.
it's just like me get trained to be a cook. I just buzzed right through it, like in 3 weeks or
Yeah.
maybe a month.
Which you probably could have spent for 2 or 3 months,
Yeah.
and they just
Yeah.
buzzed through it. Yeah.
Yeah. I
So-
think there's a lot I could have learned. Yeah.
And you hope, you think about the people that hold the infantry and artillery, and you worry about, well, if
Yeah.
they're training you as a cook that way, are they going through the training too fast
Yeah.
on that other?
Yeah, we learned how to build a field cookhouse on a truck. Well, heck, I didn't. When we got out in the field, it was other guys that did that.
Yeah.
I didn't have to do it.
Yeah, so they're training you stuff you really don't use.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and you're cooking out there and cleaning, and mostly it was how to keep clean.
Yeah. Sanitation. Yeah.
Sanitation. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
the word I wanted. Yeah.
And a lot of times, right, if you're in the heat of battle, you're not really that concerned with that.
And we were trained to be on a desert mostly.
Yeah, So yeah, again, about the training, that
And
seems kind of,
water was supposed to be scarce, and we didn't use it for cleanup. We used dry sand for clean up a lot of pans and
Yeah.
stuff, yeah. Because the sun sanitizes the sand,
yeah,
you
didn't
know.
know that, didn't know that.
And that was not used very much, but
Is there anything, Dick, that you'd like to add that we haven't covered in the interview? Anything else that you think is relevant to your service? Anything?
well, we didn't have to buy stamps. I know
Yeah.
that. It was free.
Yeah. Oh, really? It was, yeah.
Yeah.
But still, I would think that you were probably busy when you're on duty, and you know, it was probably a little more effort required to write the letter and stuff like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, we spent a lot of time writing letters. What you do, you have a little trunk, you know, and that follows you all the way through
Yeah.
the service,
Yeah.
wherever you go. And you didn't have very much in it, but you had your fatigues and you had your dress uniform.
Mm-hmm. And basically, they gave you that trunk, and that was what your belongings were. That was it when you were
Yeah.
whatever could fit in that trunk. That's it.
Yeah, that's it. And then when you had inspection, you know, you open the trunk up and stand beside it.
Yeah. Is there? And I know that I noticed that it seemed to have a big impact when the war was over, and thank you for sharing that with us. I appreciate it. What would you like people to know or remember? Anything from your service? Any points about your service?
Well, everybody wanted to get out, that's for sure. And like I say, they wanted to keep you, but
Yeah, yeah.
I don't think I would ever go back.
Yeah. So would you say, Dick, it was kind of thing where it was necessary and you did it, but it wouldn't be the kind of thing that you would.
I would not volunteer.
Not
no.
volunteer. Okay.
No.
Okay.
No, I would not volunteer.
Okay. Okay.
In fact, I went kicking and screaming.
As many people did, yeah.
Yeah.
But, all right. If there's anything else, then we'll just conclude the interview. And I highly appreciate you having us and enabling us to do this.
It's nice talking to somebody that was in the service.
Yeah.
You want me to say something about the picture?
Yeah. What is that picture? I mean, tell me how old you were and where you were in your.
No, it's got a,
That's all right. That's all right.
Oh, this is a picture of somebody took a snapshot of me when I was home, and I was drafted in the Army called anti-aircraft,
Anti-aircraft?
Anti-aircraft. And so I don't know who took that picture, but somehow that's the way it
This is an
happened.
all-American boy. He looks like a young man.
Yeah, I was in the anti-aircraft for a short time, but
This is before you went to cook, became a cook?
mhm.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I was in training. I was on a furlough. That's all right. That's where I had to be.
All American looking boy. All right, Dick. Thank you.